got the answer right here, ladies and gentlemen, to everything that ails you. Now step right up.
One who acts like a duck about his salves and remedies. The cruel practice of making money on people's worries feared throughout the years as quackery.
I said cured of backache, nervousness,
Any number of diseases. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't ask you to take my word for it. I've got the answer.
All right, welcome back, Quackheads, and to another episode of Quackery. This is coming right at you, Dr. Will the Pill, here with John and our semi-permanent guest star, Zach, here. They finally made me stop using the shitty nickname, so I'm sorry and you're welcome to everyone. So today we are talking about amphetamines. Amphetamines, speed, whatever. And we are drinking Four Loko.
Woo!
Fitting. Oh, I have a fun story about Four Loko. Zach can back me up on this. He was here. For those of you who don't know, Zach is my cousin. And we went skiing once upon a time at some shitty place in North Carolina. I don't even remember what it was. Wolf Laurel or one of those really small shit. Yeah. So it's basically like an anthill with dandruff on it. So we go up there with our jackets, and they were completely loaded to the gills with Four Loko cans.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking, we were probably packing 8 cans each. I don't know where we were keeping them, but we were drinking them on the lift and then skiing down and then drink another one on the lift. And that shit was awesome. But one time we were trying to wreck each other on the slopes, get to the bottom. I don't remember if it was you or your brother, ran smack into them, and fucking cans went everywhere. It was like a bolorama of Four Lokos. And that was the old Four Lokos that had...
The real ones.
Yeah.
They were
had
not only strong, but they
had
had methamphetamine in them.
Oh, really? You asshole. What the fuck?
I love it. Got him again.
Jesus Christ.
Got you again.
Well, they were full of caffeine, right? Isn't that what it was?
They still have caffeine, but they don't have as much of it, of everything.
14%.
They're still strong. And I actually bought them at the gas station at 8 a.m.
This is malt liquor, right?
And I said, yeah. And I said, it's not beer.
It's premium.
Malt liquor. Premium malt liquor. Yeah. That one's 14. Yeah, that's the one we're drinking. It's 12. John's trying to get...
You know what I've been wanting to drink for a while that no one has it down here is Mickey's malt liquor.
Oh, yeah. Slip them a Mickey's.
Mickey's Big Mouth.
I love
Slipping them a Mickey's is different.
That's a different situation. That's when you put the bottle up your ass, right?
What? Fuck.
Oh, I guess we went to different high schools.
Yeah. Somebody lied to you, my friend.
Okay, so we're talking about amphetamines. They were discovered more than over 100 years ago, and we'll talk about all kind of stimulants too, but mainly amphetamines. And they've been used over the last century for all sorts of things. The reason why they're on Quackery is because at times they were used as a cure-all. They were used not as labeled. They're still obviously used today, but they were used for a lot of shit that either they don't cure or sort of like, you're treating something that's ridiculous to use strong-ass amphetamines on. Okay.
He's about to explode over there.
CNS. I haven't had the Four Loko in so long. It's like getting me.
Wow.
You know what they say? Once you go Ocho Loco, you don't go back.
Wow.
Once you drink 2 of them.
Game
over.
Ocho was 8, though.
Yeah, 2 Four Lokos.
I used to play Power Hour with Four Loko. Those were some bad days and horrible next days.
I'm sure. Dude, actually, the one John poured looks like beer.
It tastes pretty good.
Central nervous system stimulant, and it currently is used to treat attention deficit disorder, narcolepsy, which is when you can't stay awake, and obesity. So they actually treat it for people to lose weight, and it will work for all that. So discovered in 1887, and it exists as the enantiomers, levoamphetamine and dextroamphetamine. You guys have probably heard of the dextroamphetamine salts. This is like the combination. So they're racemic free base. It just means they're equal parts in enantiomers. Just
I have no idea what you're talking about, dude. I'm stuck on what a central nervous system is.
Your brain.
Oh, okay. You got to make these things clear, man.
Sorry. No, I mean, I didn't know if you guys wanted more science or less science.
Wait, so and amphetamine, is that like a plant?
No.
No, so you said they were discovered, 100 years ago.
It's man-made, synthetic.
Oh, man-made. Okay,
Yeah,
so it's in a chemistry lab.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they, so Barger and Dale in 1910, they discovered racemic amphetamine, but not until 1927, it was first synthesized by chemist G.A. Ailes. I don't know if you've heard of him, if you're a big, chemistry geek, but he also did a lot of work with insulin for human use, and he discovered MDA, which is the original form of ecstasy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, and ecstasy, actually, I didn't know this. I've never taken ecstasy. It is a stimulant similar to amphetamines.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I always assumed it was like a downer, the way.
No,
it's an upper.
You go to raves, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you take your shirt off.
it releases serotonin, right? And that how it because they say the come down off that's really, really bad because you completely deplete all your serotonin.
And now it's called Molly.
well,
it's the same thing, but a different name. They rename it every year.
Yeah, well, it gets a bad
every
rap.
couple years.
It can get a bad rap. So
Pills always look so fun. They look like sweet tarts. They got the little designs on. Don't do ecstasy, even though it sounds fun.
But it's not like a concentration. You don't do ecstasy and like finish your term paper. You know what I'm saying? You do Adderall and finish your term paper.
It's a bit different, right? So he was looking so this guy G.A. Ailes or Allies or whatever it is, he was looking for a cheap alternative to ephedrine because it was basically Eli Lilly company. You may have heard of them. Pretty big drug company. They put out ephedrine and they were using it to treat asthmas, cold, allergies. It was basically a blockbuster for them. They made a shitload of money off of it. So he was like, well, maybe if I can come up with something cheaper, easier to make than that. That's how he started testing the amphetamine, and he used it on himself. He injected himself with 50 milligrams, becoming his own guinea pig.
oh my.
It's a pretty high dose to start with, for sure. If you guys know about it. Yeah. So it says 7 minutes later, he sniffed. His nose was dry and clear. His blood pressure had climbed dramatically. After 17 minutes, he noted heart palpitations, but also a feeling of well-being. He grew chatty at a dinner party that night, considered himself unusually witty. Some 8 hours after taking the drug, his blood pressure had nearly returned to normal. Still, he recorded, rather sleepless tonight. Mine seemed to run from one subject to another. So, so he basically kind of summed up the whole deal right all together there in his first time, which is pretty interesting. He got together with a company called Smith, Klein, and French, and they came out with benzodrine sulfate inhaler. It's a nasal inhaler. I'll show you guys.
I was gonna ask if benzodrine.
Oh yeah,
or the bennies.
Bennies, yeah,
The bennies.
Bennies.
So there's a ton of advertisement for it. So they started out with
right? Is it benzos?
No,
those are
bennies.
Those are benzodiazepine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like Valium.
Yeah.
Okay, never
Those
mind.
those are.
So this was it. It was a nasal inhaler that was just supposed to be for congestion, nasal congestion. And people found out that, it really gave them some pep. So they called them bennies or black beauties. And that was 1933. Benzodrine sulfate was introduced and used to treat a wide variety of medical conditions, also including narcolepsy, obesity, low blood pressure, low libido, chronic pain, among others. Which is weird that they use it for low libido. We'll get into that in a little bit, one of the side effects for it. But so it had these strips in there. So when you went and sniff it, these little strips, would put off a little bit of benzodrine. Well, people found out, the strip is just pure amphetamines. So they would take it out of there and knock it back with some coffee.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Or alcohol.
Because you need coffee
like
when
party.
you're drinking straight bennies.
That's right. So the funny part with that was, kind of skipping ahead in the history of it a little bit here, there was a film in 1973 called Deadhead Miles, and it's about a truck driver who has to stay awake for a whole week at a time. Jesus. And at one point he says, "Benny, take the wheel," which is awesome. So that was skipping ahead a little bit because of Benny's. But interesting part here, and I have to ask you conspiracy theory buffs a question in just a second, but World War II, amphetamines were huge in World War II
right.
with both sides, especially with the Nazis. So all of them were taking it. At that point, it was a product called Pervitin, which was methamphetamine, which, meth, that's what it is. And Hitler himself was taking it.
Yeah.
And also...
That's the last thing you need is
they
Hitler
would
on
put him on the front
meth.
line.
Have you heard of the guy Dr. Feelgood? Okay, so Dr. Feelgood, he came up with this thing. He escaped from Germany. He's a German chemistry person or whatever, but he made this thing. It was methamphetamine and steroids, and he's given it to JFK, Marilyn Monroe.
Steroids?
Yeah, and a lot of the celebrities, even today, have taken it. George Clooney has done it. It's a shot in the neck.
In the neck?
Yeah, and it's basically steroids and methamphetamine.
You will.
And Dr.
got you
Feelgood,
right in the neck, didn't it?
the Motley
I know some
Crue,
people who combined.
Motley Crue song.
God.
Dr. Feelgood.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Really?
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, I know
the guy,
a lot of people who've combined, steroids or testosterone injections with amphetamine. And like one guy,
I think it killed Marilyn Monroe.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Yes, I know, because I was going to do a story on
Dr.
it.
Feelgood
Interesting.
killed
Dr.
Marilyn Monroe?
Yeah, well,
shit,
yeah, because
that's big.
she died over an
bombshell.
she died over an overdose, but they think it was his product, the methamphetamine and steroids. But that has like been a closed book because you have like JFK taking it. You got all these, big people taking this stuff.
I bet it's
The real
awesome.
deal.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that's
dude.
I bet it is
That's what the
awesome.
secret actually is. It's not the power of positive thought. It's meth and
steroids.
testosterone.
Does the testosterone make you shut the hell up? Because anybody I've been around that's like when they're
on
drinking
amphetamines?
on amphetamines, it's just blah 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 blah.
You can imagine me on it.
Oh God!
never
Oh,
shut up.
Jesus.
So my question, I knew a guy who would take a shitload of Adderall and a shitload of testosterone injections. And he was like, man, Will, I look like I'm cut up like freaking Bruce Lee. And I was like, you think? You think you don't eat?
So
and you're
you
just,
knew a guy on Dr. Feelgood.
yeah. I don't think he knew it.
He was injecting amphetamines.
He was prescribed. Somebody gave, No.
Injections?
He was taking amphetamines by mouth.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
What a man.
my question, I guess, was not did Marilyn Monroe get killed by Dr. Feelgood, but my question was, do you guys think Hitler escaped?
No, what?
No.
That's a big
they-
conspiracy theory. Did he get
But
away?
didn't they find his body in the bunker?
Yeah, but they think it was fake. It was a double, or
perhaps a clone.
No, his clone.
No.
His dentist, who was a Nazi, said, "Oh yeah, these are his teeth." That's like the biggest evidence they have that he was there. But can you trust that guy?
Well, I just finished a book about, and I won't say the name of the book because it'll kind of give it away, but it was a Nazi, the chief scientist for the Nazis, who had cloned himself several times and also was giving himself genetic age restoration.
I've
medicines.
seen that. Billy Crystal, right? Multiplicity.
No.
I've seen that one. It's a good movie.
I don't think that was Billy Crystal in Multiplicity either, by the way.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Tom Hanks?
No, who's the Batman? Who's Batman? The old Batman?
That's not Billy Crystal?
That's definitely not
Billy
Billy
Crystal
Crystal.
wasn't in Batman?
Billy
No,
Crystal's
you know
the little
who Billy
curly haired
Crystal
guy.
is?
You know who I'm talking? The guy from The Founder.
Oh,
Yeah,
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
Oh, yeah, you're
Michael
right. It is
Keaton,
Mike.
yeah.
I think it is Michael Keaton.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Billy Crystal version of Multiplicity though.
It'd be good. So, a guy from Germany wrote a book called Blitzed. His name is,
Blitzed.
or it's Der Toter Rausch. Do amphetamines work? What bad things do they cause? Woof. So this is weird. It can cause seizures, and it can also lower the seizure threshold. I didn't know this was true. They'll give it to people who have epilepsy. Yeah, but it basically makes it harder for someone to have a seizure. But if you take too much of it, it will cause you to have a seizure.
Adderall will?
Let me clarify.
Really?
So amphetamines is Adderall. There's something.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll go through all
Or
those
like
different
Ritalin
kinds.
or-
So yeah, amphetamines.
Yeah.
The brand name of mixed amphetamine salts would be Adderall.
Adderall. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. So you take it for seizures? I didn't know because I can see the narcolepsy thing. Because I take so much I can't sleep sometimes.
Yeah.
That it works for narcolepsy, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine because you can't sleep.
it's one of the
That-
prescriptions
It's
for
a prescribed
narcolepsy.
effect. Yeah.
Oh.
So there's but that was the weird one. I didn't know epilepsy actually is you can prescribe it for that weight loss and attention.
They prescribe it for weight loss.
Yeah. If you-
Really?
Mostly you see the phentermine stuff, which we can do an episode on Fin. But the one, Adipex, that's the one they mostly do. But you will see them sometimes doing Adderall for weight loss. Now, okay, what ill effects will it cause? John, you probably know all these: dry mouth, headache, hostility, nausea, cognitive impairment, which is weird because it also causes cognitive improvement.
Yeah.
anxiety, lack of appetite,
Yeah.
grinding your teeth, dizziness, increased heart rate, heart palpitations, rapid breathing, hypertension, which is increased blood pressure, increased body temperature, erectile dysfunction, and irregular heartbeat.
Well, you would think if it increased your blood pressure, it would help you become tumescent, right?
Tumescent? What the fuck? What is all this word?
Tumescent with my dick.
That's right. It's is
that right?
Fancy
Tumescent?
for hard on.
Oh.
Why didn't we bring that up in male enhancement?
I don't know.
You're such a dick. Yes.
Tumescent.
But right, I mean,
Wait,
wouldn't you
is that
think?
right?
Oh,
Tumescent?
yeah.
A higher
I'm
blood
getting
pressure
so
would-
tumescent right now.
I'm guessing you needed to specifically go to a certain type of dilate, a certain type of
I guess so.
smooth blood vessel. So it doesn't do that necessarily.
Interesting.
It's putting too much in your brain. You can't think.
But the blood
Adderall?
pressure medicine
You're
causes
starving your dick
erectile
when you put
dysfunction too, right?
blood in your brain.
Because, like, all right, I take Adderall every day. It's prescribed by my
I mean, that's okay.
my shrink, right? And
By the guy on the corner named Jimmy.
yeah, well, all right. So
So is it in crystal form or
no,
tablets?
it's tablets. I take about 30 milligrams a day. But
not
at
bad.
one
That's not
time I
too
did
much.
stop and I ordered some shit from India called modafinil, and I was taking that for a while.
I bet that's something.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
Provigil. Yeah.
yeah.
It's mostly
that's Provigil?
That's one that now everyone takes. Like you'll
Really?
see a lot of the
Pilots, right?
pilots
Yeah.
will take that.
Yeah.
And it is a cognitive enhancer, but it's mostly just like a straight like stay awake.
Yeah,
aid.
stay awake.
But they
Oh,
will
really?
use it for it should help you cognitively too.
See, the reason
it's
I didn't
not
like
an
Adderall,
amphetamine.
yeah, the
Gotcha.
Adderall. The reason I don't like Adderall is the hypertension. I don't know if you mentioned that, but also like you just feel jittery as hell, right?
Really? Like you had too much coffee?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
You know, and I had cut down a lot of my caffeine.
Well, you don't need it anymore.
I know.
Do you drink
Now we just need to
decaf?
get you some testosterone boosters, and you'll be
Well, I'm
on Dr.
taking that
Feelgood's.
that placenta.
Yeah. Taking the pee-pee pill.
I'm already
awesome.
feeling this beer, dude.
Well, this
Well,
is
it's
the
not
Four Loko.
beer. It's wine.
It's malt liquor.
It's carbonated
It's
wine
liquor.
with caffeine in it. With Adderall, you know,
those were the short-term effects. Sorry, we also have a long list of long-term effects too.
and you may be about to get to this, but I was going to ask. So, you know, with ecstasy, it's a serotonin. I don't know what you call it, but it makes you overproduce serotonin or over-release serotonin. But with Adderall, what is the mechanism that's causing you to do it, and is there similar effects
Excellent question.
to ecstasy where you feel you have almost like a hangover from it because you're depleted?
Sure. Oh, yeah. You definitely have a come down effect. So, so it's actually funny. If you look in medical textbooks, so it gives this. It's a nice little diagram here, and it will actually say someone who's normal or someone taking Adderall, meth, or cocaine. So they all work the same way.
So meth is the same as Adderall, pretty much, right?
Its
the same
effects?
chemicals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So okay, and I guess we're kind of skipping ahead a little bit here, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. So meth versus Adderall. So they're actually extremely similar. They work the same way. Meth, the reason why it's different is people will smoke it and it works and it gives a really intense high for a really short period of time. And so that's basically the main difference. You take Adderall by mouth, it's just going to be a slow release.
I don't get high.
It's a slow burn because because it's not, your dose is way lower and you're spreading it out over a long period of time. It's like having a nice glass of wine and having a nice buzz versus getting shit
Sipping
housed.
it versus pounding it,
But
kind of
versus
thing.
butt chugging it
Okay.
or boofing,
Boofing it.
you know?
It's
But it's also
the
a different
same
delivery.
chemicals though. If I was to take an
is
Adderall
different.
and melt
It's a
it
different
in
compound.
a spoon and then syringe it in my veins, it'd do the same thing.
It would do the same thing, but if you took a drug
Holy
test,
shit.
if you took a drug test, it would differentiate between methamphetamine and amphetamine. They are two separate chemical compounds.
Dude,
So-
I feel like I'm like literally doing meth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't think about it like that.
No, do think about it like that.
So okay, so
about it.
and cocaine works the same way. So they're all stimulants that work the same way. So they're reuptake inhibitors.
okay.
So
So are they SSRIs?
no, they're not serotonin.
They're not
they work on
serotonin.
dopamine
Okay.
and norepinephrine.
What's an SSRI?
Which is like
Okay.
adrenaline. Norepinephrine's like adrenaline.
Okay.
It's synonymous terms. So reuptake inhibitor. So think about, there's neurotransmitters. Basically, when you have neurons, they're not touching. They're communicating chemically with
Yeah.
these little chemicals, right? So it's like they spit out one and it goes over here, and then it's supposed to absorb that back so that it doesn't tell, your brain to get excited or whatever the stimulus was. Like, let's say something happened where you needed to get amped up. You're getting your adrenaline's pumping. You got to go play, Madden.
Got to flip the car over to get it off Timmy.
You got to play Madden on the.
Whoa! Wow, that was not the way I would have gone with that.
What a loser!
But anyway, yeah. So a reuptake inhibitor is basically going to stop those little neurotransmitters from being sucked back up. So they're just going to keep bombarding the receptor sites, like boom, 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 boom. Basically, stimulate adrenaline and dopamine, and it's going to make it feel good, and it's going to make you jacked, and it's going and so, just by having all that extra energy and it'll give you the focus too. But yeah, same way cocaine works and meth work, they're just going to be more intense at one time.
So it is like...
There you go. Look at the difference. Meth, Adderall.
It's the same thing.
Except for there's the hydrogen right there.
So
one difference.
The amphetamine, so cocaine comes from a plant, right? So is there any part of... like Adderall that comes from a plant, or is it
fully synthetic? Yeah.
So it's just like,
I mean, I'm sure it was, ultimately down the line, he wanted to find an alternative to, ephedrine, and I didn't do any research into that, but I'm sure everything comes from something natural, and we just go on and on.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to make it if it didn't come from something,
right?
It's just how far down the line is the end product.
Mm-hmm. No, but what I was going to say was statins. So yellow or red yeast rice has lovastatin in it, like the actual drug lovastatin we have. It's in red yeast rice. That's where we discovered it. So we just made it more and more concentrated and potent along. And so there are side effects when you make something more concentrated typically. But you're getting effects from something natural. You're basically souping up something natural.
Sure.
So that's interesting. But okay, so long-term effects of amphetamines. What did I say? Amphetamines. Long-term effects of amphetamines would be that I'm not clearly on them if I can't keep my focus. Paranoia, hallucinations, violent behavior, cravings for the drug, so that's addiction, compulsive behaviors, convulsions, respiratory problems, loss of coordination, obsessive behavior, and eventually, so the combination of amphetamines can cause fatal cardiac arrhythmias if you take too much. Obviously, if you weigh high doses, and combining it with other substances makes it worse. We're about to get into that here. I love this one right here. So here's some grumpy ass guy in the bed, and he's definitely checking out the nurse's boobs. And it's an actual advertisement for a drug called Dexamil, which I believe is I believe it's methamphetamine or dexamphetamine. And it says he used to just lie there and mope. Now he likes to see people, and he just.
Oh my god!
Disgustingly staring at this nurse's boobs while his wife is like, "What?" Oh,
that would never fly.
Smith,
today.
Klein, and French. So.
When was this? What do they call it? Not criminalized, but scheduled.
Yeah, it is a scheduled something drug, because every time they send it to my house, that's the only pill. I'm on a lot from the VA. That's the only one that I got to sign for every time.
Really?
Is the Adderall. Yeah. I have to sign for it every time or they won't leave it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only one, though. Because, I'm on all kinds of muscle relaxers and everything.
Sure.
But that is the only one that I have to physically sign for. And, they started even checking my ID and everything. Because
they're supposed to.
I was actually in my... I was in the VA a couple of days ago, actually, and... My shrink, he was like, all right, this has never happened before, but I got to put you through this new database called Scripts to see if you're not doctor shopping and stuff like that. And because a lot of people, do you watch Drugs Inc. by any chance?
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people go from Adderall to heroin and stuff like that. If they can't get the Adderall, well, I don't know.
The gateway drug? Well, they might go from Adderall to meth.
Yeah, right? Or meth or heroin, whatever's cheap. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I didn't know it was that addictive.
So they're saying that's below the opioid epidemic. It's the next thing.
Really?
Yeah. So there's actually a Netflix documentary you guys might like. It's called Take Your Pills. You guys should check that one out. They talk about a lot of stuff we actually talked about on here.
When I've taken Adderall, you definitely. I wouldn't say that would be addicted. I wouldn't say I would run to heroin or anything, but if I don't take my Adderall in the morning, I can't do anything. I'm so tolerant on it now that I have to have it. So put yourself in a situation where if you were taking Adderall and then all of a sudden the benefits get cut off or whatever, and you got to go buy your own, or you're not even prescribed it.
Go buy crack or meth or whatever.
That's you're going to...
That's exactly what happens. Yeah.
So
Or
Interesting.
you get cut off from the doctor, or you can't afford
Yep.
it. Yeah.
And that's
Or you get-
what
your
they're saying
addiction
the-
exceeds your doctor's
that's
limits.
why I'm like
the
so
whole
like interested
heroin
in this,
epidemic
man.
has come from, right? Is people on pain pills that can't afford it anymore. Their doctor cuts
Save
them
that
off,
because
and they
we
hit
are
the
going to
streets.
do an episode on opium and opioids.
Well, they shouldn't make it so damn expensive, which I hate.
Oh well,
What,
I mean,
heroin?
no,
It is
no.
absolute bullshit.
no, heroin's cheap.
They should make
Kidding me?
prescription
There's a guy
pills.
right out there, Johnny. He's
They should make prescription pills. I mean, because
more expensive than
an Adderall would be, I don't know, like $20 a pill, but a shot of heroin is like 10. You know what I'm saying?
And
Like,
didn't you say it always follows like the price of a blowjob?
yeah, it does.
That's-
In the murder stories,
that's
yeah,
sad.
Yeah,
Makes sense, though.
Oh yeah, of course.
So
What are you working for?
exactly,
Not your pension.
$20 for a blowjob equals,
One more hit.
1 gram of heroin or whatever.
Yeah.
And the nice thing would be if it's a meth addict, you don't have to worry about any teeth.
Yeah. So it's the economics on it's freaking amazing.
Do you know why they don't have teeth?
They crave the sugar. If I heard
And they don't.
correctly.
They're not too big on brushing their teeth.
Which is weird because they do get fixated on things.
Right, but apparently not brushing their teeth. So when you were talking about the side effects, I didn't hear you mention sleep deprivation, or if you did, the side effects of sleep deprivation actually is what typically, from my understanding, causes a lot of the issues with like meth addicts. Is they're delusional from lack of sleep,
Right,
not
you can't
necessarily
sleep and you'll
directly
get
from the
deluded.
drug.
Yeah, because if you don't sleep, when you let Benny take the wheel,
That's when they start tweaking.
Shit goes
That's when
bad.
they get bugs on their skin. They're starting to see stuff outside, and it's so crazy that it's not the actual drug that's causing the problem. It's the sleep deprivation that's causing the majority of the problem. And meth addicts are notoriously aggressive.
Yeah.
That's coming
well,
from
because they got the
law enforcement.
They got the junkie strength, man. They got that.
we
that
ain't
meth
talking
strength.
about angel dust, baby.
Here's a sweet advertisement: Dexamyl Spansul, and it's got a woman vacuuming, and it says Smith, Klein, and French, and then the mild psychogenic depressive states. This in minutes, Amphetamine phosphate, and it just keeps showing all these pictures of women either vacuuming more or smiling more.
It's funny. They marketed it towards females, and that was before the second,
Interesting.
World War II, when most of the women were housewives, and then all of our boys went overseas, and they had to,
Pick up the slack.
Pick up the slack with all the jobs
and play
stuff like that.
baseball.
Yeah, but it's funny. Those advertisements are marketed like that. I mean, they're not like overtly sexist, I wouldn't say, but it seems that way.
Yeah, this one says it will break the vicious cycle of anhedonia, which I had to look up. That apparently means the inability to feel pleasure.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Benzodrine sulfate. No, it will break the vicious cycle of it, so you'll be able to feel pleasure if you take benzodrine.
Well, good.
So I feel like this drug was not invented. So if you think about like SARS or the flu, like they're trying to cure something, or polio. This drug was just invented for no reason.
He invented it to be an alternative to ephedrine to use for colds, cough, to basically to help with breathing and those sort of things, nasal decongestant.
Okay.
And it worked for that, but it worked way better for jacking you up and making you focus. So they said so by 1969, that was when the peak of kind of the amphetamines in America. So they started to crack down on it because there was actually an article that came out. There was a congressional hearing that was called "Crime in America: Why 8 Billion Amphetamines." So we're actually back going up. So there was, that's how many there were, the pills that were sold or whatever. And so now the World Drug Report reported in 2017 we have 29 million prescription users of stimulants. That's just people who are on prescription.
29 million. That's a lot, dude.
That's
Holy shit.
that's just people who are on prescription stimulants. So they said, obviously in college campuses, you got half the kids are on it, half the kids are taking it for.
They don't have prescriptions.
Just from
I wonder
selling
how
from
many
other
of that
kids.
29 million are kids, like in high school or whatever.
Yeah, there was a big. I saw, because it's hard. The drug companies don't like to tell you how many kids they give.
I mean, because
amphetamines too, but you can you do the math. I think they said like 8 million are adults, so that means like 21 million kids or something. I don't know the exact math, but the combination stimulants, the chart actually includes methamphetamine, amphetamine, ecstasy, and then other stimulants like cocaine and those sort of things, and it lumps them all together. But the biggest thing on there is meth, amphetamine, and amphetamine.
Yeah. So we're basically addicted as a country, you know?
Yeah. And so
it's crazy.
one interesting thing is, you guys know who Simone Biles is?
Is this a gymnastic girl?
Gymnast. So now there's a big thing with sports because it's a performance enhancer too. It'll improve energy and focus. So back in the day, Roger Bannister said, "The man who can drive himself farther once the effort gets painful will win." And it basically, so Adderall, it doesn't necessarily make your VO2 max increase, but they did find that it is enormously good in masking fatigue.
So VO2 is like oxygen, right?
Yeah, okay. Zach, can you explain what VO2 max is?
Yeah, I don't understand it as well as I should. I've had the test on me many times, but it has to do with the transfer efficiency
and other tests.
Yeah, the transfer efficiency of oxygen from your red blood cells. So it's basically how efficient is your body at using the oxygen that you're pulling in.
And the reason I asked him to explain it, he used to be a junior pro cyclist.
I don't think there's such thing as a junior pro, but I was a pro cyclist and I was a member of the junior national team, cycling team.
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, well,
I didn't know what to call it.
Fine.
But anyway, he was on the big leagues, and that's what they measure, like your ability to utilize oxygen.
Right. So there's a lot of different factors that you can measure, but VO2 max is the only one that can be really changed dramatically from effort.
But blood doping, too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, because you've got more blood for your oxygen to attach.
Yeah,
you can
that'd
always
be a fun episode
you can train like in high altitudes, right? And
that will help.
Yeah.
Sure, and that affects your VO2 max significantly.
So the interesting, so going back to this, so amphetamines, they assumed that it would increase VO2 max and running economy, but they found out that there was no conclusive evidence, at least when they tested these rats. Like they gave some of them a shitload, and obviously the ones with a shitload of amphetamine, they performed way better. But then they measured all their markers, and their VO2 max was not better. All the things were the same, except for the heat. Like basically, the other rats were just working way harder, like their ability to work. So it didn't make them more efficient. They were burning more calories. They were getting hotter. They're basically just you're able to push yourself more, right?
Yeah.
Which is,
and
that's a big benefit.
A lot of athletes do take amphetamines for performance enhancements.
So Simone Biles, she won 4 gold medals at Rio, and she's on amphetamines, but she had a medical exemption, which so did apparently
Chris Froome.
Michael Phelps. They got the medical exemption, which means I have ADD. It's like
it's a bunch of trash, is all that is. When it comes to sports, that is.
So actually, on that Netflix special called "Take Your Pills," there's a former pro athlete who is very interesting. He had a prescription for. He talked about it. He had a prescription for Adderall, so he took it. He didn't really, maybe he had a little attention deficit. They say, oh, everyone has it. Well, I mean, people, varying degrees. But I mean, people. It's just motivation,
and it's somewhat subjective.
You don't need to tell everyone. Oh, for sure. There is a test in the DSM-5 or whatever.
Subjective
in some ways, yeah.
Because I want to point out, so like our attention span. I read some study somewhere where our attention span over the last 50 years has dropped.
Oh, of course,
to they did a study was like
Facebook
4
generation.
seconds. Yep. Is the attention span of kids nowadays, and it used to be 2 minutes.
So if you've listened to this whole podcast, then you deserve a cookie. Because you've been a very good boy or girl.
You should not be on Adderall if you've listened to this whole podcast.
That's true. You don't need to, unless we're just that entertaining. See, that's what I love about you guys. You make me laugh, and you make me learn, and you make me love.
Who are you talking about?
Wow,
that's so fake.
Okay. That's awesome. Oh, sorry. Going back to the guy. Anyway, so he's on Adderall. He gets the therapeutic use exemption, medical exemption. He runs out of his Adderall before a game. So his teammate is on Ritalin, which is methylphenidate, which is similar. It's not as popular. You do see more kids on it. It's more helpful.
I hate it. I think
hyperactivity and attention. But anyway, so he took it just because his teammate was like, hey, I have this. So anyway, they drug tested him after the game. And he was slapped with a 4-game, I think it was a 4-game ban because he was on a banned substance and he didn't have a prescription for it. So he's on Adderall, but he took Ritalin. So he was like, it didn't even work as well for me. But, since I didn't have it. But he's like, it makes you almost not appreciate your performance as much. He's like, did I do it or did Adderall do it? Anyway, it was very interesting. You did it. But, you just had a little, did you do it on roids or did you do it on Adderall? Did you do Dr. Feelgood's special mix?
Ridiculous.
I mean, it is, but I can kind of see that.
No, I come from the cycling world where drugs are it's it's kind of famous sport
Yeah.
for performance enhancement.
Oh, Lance
What
Armstrong.
about Tour de Pharmacy? You guys
Tour de
seen that
Pharmacy,
special?
yeah.
Tour de Pharmacy.
It's on HBO. It's called
pretty
Tour de
good.
Pharmacy. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's a
Yeah.
comedy, yeah.
And Icarus as well on Netflix.
Oh,
Yeah, I
it's
saw that
great.
one.
You saw that?
Yeah, the Russian.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's just like steroids. You don't do steroids and magically get super huge and strong.
Well, sure.
You recover better and you may perform a little better, but you still have to put all the work in.
Yeah.
I mean,
I 100%
I'm
agree.
anti performance enhancing drugs. Don't get me wrong, but
Have you taken Adderall before?
I'm sure
Because like when I take too much Adderall, I feel
not
like
gonna
I can
say.
run like 30 miles.
So I
I'm
used
just
to.
saying.
So here's an example. So for pharmacy school, if I took, well, I was on it then, just like a small dose, I think 5 or 10 milligrams. But if I took any after noon, I couldn't sleep that night. Like that's how
yeah.
bad it affected me. So also being in pharmacy school, I know the little trick. If you take them with antacids, it makes them work better.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, I
What
probably
do you
shouldn't be
mean
telling.
antacids?
when you take Adderall with antacids,
What do you mean? What's an antacid?
So like let's
a
say
Tums.
like a Tums. Yeah, take it with Tums. It'll make it work better. Yeah, there's people who like will game they'll take them like
does
with
it
a
have
bunch
to
of
do with the
antacids and
calcium, or
protein.
does it
How
have
does
to do
it-
with the carbonate?
It has
or
to do with the acidity of
the
your
acidity.
stomach.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So
like
it
let's
just
say if
buffers
you
it long enough to
take
get
your
it through your
Adderall and you
system?
have a bunch of acidic food, you're going to have a worse effect. of your-
Interesting.
Yeah. So ideally, I think they said
It
the
breaks
best thing
down
to
the
do
molecule or
is to
something?
basically have like put some Tums in a protein shake, drink it, and take your Adderall, and that'll be the best performance. That's what these guys on like
Yeah.
Wall Street do.
Is that
because they want
really?
the best performance from the milligrams they have.
Sure.
And it's like the cutthroat, like
Yeah.
calculation, limitless. But yeah, so what I would do before like a big exam is just like break up my pills into little pieces, take them, and study and stay up all night long, take my exam, skip the rest of the classes, and go out and go for a run until I finally burned all the Adderall off, and then try to sleep.
That sounds like fun.
Hey, Dr.
And John,
Bill.
just so you know, a little wastewater knowledge here. I like
Ooh.
to sprinkle a little in from time
You like
to
to
time.
sprinkle a little wastewater in?
Yeah. So
We're all sick.
One part of wastewater is called physical chemical wastewater treatment. That typically has to do with non-fecal wastewater. And we deal with a lot of metals in that side of things.
Metals.
Yeah. So metals precipitate. They come out of solution at a high pH. And at a low pH, they go into solution. So going back to your stomach acid and why iron, for example, absorbs better is once you hit, 4 pH or below, probably that iron is going into solution and is not just
soluble.
Correct.
Anyway, so alcohol and amphetamines, basically, I put in parentheses here, don't do it.
Really?
As I'm drinking a beer right now, and on Adderall.
And I wanted to bring that up because I knew you would be on it.
But you waited
in excess.
till I drank
Well,
two
I made it
beers.
the last slide. No, it's not the last slide. It's
Yeah.
the second to last slide.
It's bad for you?
So there's a lot of reasons. In excess.
Because it's a downer and an upper, right? It's-
Yeah. So
It's like highballing.
yeah, if you take and this is in
speedballing,
general.
right? Is that what they call it?
That's right. This is in general
what
with
killed John
any
Belushi.
stimulants and stimulants
John
and alcohol. You're gonna first off, you're not gonna feel as though you're as intoxicated as you are. So there's a danger in over
Right.
consuming or
I have
over.
a friend who said that's the case.
That's why I'm drinking more.
That you definitely feel like you can drink as much as you want to and you never get drunk. When you're
So
on
alcohol
Adderall.
poisoning, of course, is much higher risk because also, so what do you do if you drink a lot of alcohol? You're going to probably pass out, right?
Yeah.
If you're on a stimulant, you're hacking your brain to not go to sleep,
Interesting.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that
So-
makes sense.
So like alcohol, unless you're like a super high tolerance person who drinks a lot, because there's actually those people who will like be completely sober and drink, and all of a sudden they're blackout drunk and they're driving down the highway. Yeah. You guys didn't have to go to those alcohol classes in college?
I didn't get a DUI in
Anyway.
college.
We
No, I
didn't
didn't
go
have
to
a DUI.
pharmacy school, man. Like,
No, that was when I was in a fraternity. They made us go through those. That's must be
I had to
what
go
it
through
is.
AEP where some old bald biker dude told us how bad drinking
They
was.
tell you how good blue biker meth is.
Heisenberg over here.
Mexican super meth.
Okay, so when you take alcohol with amphetamines, any kind of stimulants, you're gonna have poor judgment, poor emotional
That's
control,
always-
reduced rational thinking, increased risk for accidents. Let's see. So you're also going to be. So another thing you have to think about though. So when you take amphetamines, it makes you thirsty, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
A lot of water.
It's going to dehydrate you.
Actually, a lot
They
of
actually
coffee.
talked about that in performance. It is a performance enhancer, but it will dehydrate you. So you have to hydrate a lot more. Well, alcohol dehydrates the shit out of you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're combining two things that dehydrate you. So the chemicals in Adderall, there's two things in Adderall: the ammonium chloride and sodium acid phosphate that will actually have diuretic properties. So
Gotcha.
alcohol will cause you to waste, to urinate more.
Yeah, to
so will
waste.
Adderall, that's what, and so that's going to be a double whammy, basically. You can get neurological issues from drinking too much and have seizures. You can have cardiac stress, and then because both of, you increase your blood pressure, and then too much alcohol can mess with your heart too. Then you have potential for stroke or heart attack, and then you can have kidney and liver damage that may not be reversible. And this is with overuse. This is not one or two beers with a podcast with a normal prescribed dose. This is like I'm going out and snorting, 60 milligrams of Adderall and then drinking a case of beer.
That's bad for you?
I mean, it's not bad for Andre the Giant, but it's probably bad for you.
Right. Yeah.
No, don't combine, Adderall and alcohol.
I guess I
It's just
never
not
thought
safe.
about them as the speedball situation, but it is. It very much so is.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, and here's a fun one. Keep the reducer happy. They're calling your wife. You want her to be a reducer, like losing weight. Methadone and obesity. Help for those who eat too much or those who are depressed.
The reducer.
Methamphetamine. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. That was this episode of amphetamines and the crazy ways we popped bennies and pep pills over the years. The government cracked down on it in the 60s because it was getting way out of control. Even though it was being regulated, it was sort of like the opioid epidemic today. It was regulated, but not well enough. So they cut that shit down to the bone, and it's just been rising up ever since. So we're back to those levels. For Zach, John, Will the Pill, we thank y'all so much for listening to another episode of Quackery this week on Amphetamines. And if you really like this episode and you want to become our quackhead, go over to quackerypodcast.com/join and become an official quackhead. We're coming up with some really cool merch stickers. We're coming up with, we already got the stickers, t-shirts, koozies. It's just going to keep coming. You're going to get it all free. So check that out. We're also on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time.
Shit, if I knew I was drinking this, I should have just got the burrito. Fuck that salad, man. God damn it.
Sorry.
I wanted the burrito with rice. Fuck.
You're getting all the sugar.
Sorry about
I've been doing low sugar too, so this is going to hit me like a
Oh, it's going to get
train.
you
So,
rowdy.
Dr. Will, let me ask you.
Methamphetamine.
Wow, how did nothing bad happen?
I remember when I did my first podcast episode.
I remember when I had my first beer.
Billy Crystal's
The
a
Total
Saab
Rush.
guy, right?
Who?
A Saab, like the
Like-
car. Wouldn't you think, like, when you picture somebody driving a Saab, isn't it like Billy Crystal, basically?
Yeah.
No, he's driving a Ferrari.
He's
with
like a poor
strippers.
No, I think he's just a not as rich Jerry Seinfeld.
How do you
That's
know
a
he's
very
not
good way
rich,
to-
man?
Oh, Billy Crystal's definitely. I mean, you can't have a
But
name like Billy
Let's
Crystal
be honest,
and
though.
not be
Okay,
rich, but
you can be rich.
You're
Like
either
Billy
a meth
Crystal is
head.
probably 10 million, 20 millionaire.
Okay, how
That's
much
rich.
is in your bank account?
Jerry Seinfeld's a billionaire.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
this is all about to come full circle. This is a rich man, poor man. The name Billy Crystal. You're either a tweaker who has all the crystal, Billy Crystal, or you are rich actor Billy Crystal.
Methamphetamine.
What's wrong with you?
Well,
He's got problems. I mean, you know, it doesn't look like that.
Holy shit! What happened to you?
I fell on a candle. I was chasing the dog around the house. Okay, this is good. This should go in the bloopers. So I was chasing the dogs around the house in socks, and I ran around the corner, and I thought I was going to catch Scout, and I slipped like a straight up cartoon, like on a banana peel, and I go, wow, and my arms go spread out wide, and it knocks this Yankee candle off the counter, and it hits the ground before I do, and so it shatters, and a shard sticks straight up, and it just shreds me down, and I knock my head and knocks me out for a second, and it's over 100 stitches right there in the crook of my elbow. Yeah.
Holy shit!
Like they had to get a pressure washer out in the driveway to wash the blood down while they were waiting on the ambulance. Legit, true story.
Not a pressure washer, but they did wash it off. You give her a little amphetamine, bingo, bango, boom.
Yeah, dinner's ready.
Oh man,
Good to go. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
she's not gonna eat anything either, so you get extra. You get an extra piece of chicken.